we conclude the 23rd letter, in which the Alter Rebbe is very strongly worded rebuke that we shouldn't be in a company of scoffers, and when we're in a group of prayer, but we should make certain that not in a company of scoffers that repulse the divine presence of God. But he says, therefore, when it comes to the evening service between Mincha and Mariv, the afternoon and evening service, every day, so the positive thing that you need to do, study groups of at least 10, and particularly study Agadata, which is the inner dimension of the stories in the Talmud that have a great mystical understanding to it. It's called Ein Yaakov. The secrets of the Torah are concealed there. Furthermore, it brings an atonement to an individual, a cleansing, and that way we can walk straight with God. In addition, the Alter Rebbe says that between Mincha and Mariv, should also study Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law, particularly the parts called Orach Chaim, which are the laws that are essential for every person to know. And especially, as our sages say, whoever learns halacha, Jewish law, every day is assured life in the world to come, because halacha, Jewish law, is dealing with definitive rulings that are of practical relevance and therefore extremely important. On Shabbos, the Alter Rebbe says, one should make time to occupy themselves in the laws of Shabbos, because the laws of Shabbos are a very weighty law, lots to master, and it's easy to stumble in the observance of Shabbos. Even things that could be punishable in an extreme manner. A person can do it unwittingly, make mistakes, and therefore important to study the laws. Even not just for biblical laws, but rabbinic laws, and especially to do it in a group of 10. And if you are the 10th, don't leave. Don't leave. In order that they shouldn't be without 10. Because through the study, you're bringing great holiness through the study of Torah, which there's no greater holiness than study of Torah. And it's well known that the Torah is one with God. And therefore, by studying it individually, you're totally bound up in one with God. But especially when you do it in a community, there's even a greater, more powerful light that is brought into this world, as again mentioned. And to separate yourself from the community means you don't merit you don't merit that which the community gets, as being a community. That's the end of the letter. So let's just unpack this for a bit, because practical things that the Alter Rebbe is giving us over here of studying. And he's speaking about, because people would come to synagogue for prayers, so between the mincha and the evening prayers, you can just sit around and sit around and talking, or you can make use of that time and bring new life and light into this world. So these are some of the things that the Alter Rebbe is suggesting that should be done. If it's something else, it's fine. It does, I guess it depends what the community is doing. And again, virtual community, what does that mean? Good question. So Navida's asking, are we going to have these classes? So first of all, online. Right now we have the Tanya class every day. And by the way, it's like after services here. So, it's, and if you are praying at a service or on your own and then come to study, that's amazing. That's beautiful. So will we be having online these classes? Not at the moment. David is asking, is the study only for 10 men or does that include women? Well, in the context that the Alter Rebbe is speaking here, it's speaking about a minyan that men are obliged in and women are not obliged in, because a minyan is a time-based obligation, and women are beyond time, and therefore not obliged in mitzvahs that are bound by time, like tefillin, right? So, and that's the reference point, of prayers, and therefore, men having that responsibility. So the obligation isn't there for women. The obligation isn't there for women, but the 10 women that do come together has the positive value of what it means, sense of community come. So it's not the obligation, but it has the value. I hope that was clear. So Alice is asking, what about other studies like Chumash, Tanya? Yeah, all forms of study. I mean, that's what the Alter Rebbe is saying over here, specifically. But yes, all studies. Daisy is asking, what does it mean that Torah study is above nature? God is not nature. He's the creator of nature. He's not nature. Very important. That's pantheism. That God is nature, nature is God. No. God is the creator of nature. He's not defined by it. He's not limited by it. But he is the creator of nature. So that means there's something beyond that, and that is God is beyond nature, and the Torah, which is his divine will and wisdom, that's one with him, is beyond nature. Which is amazing, that we're able to rise beyond nature. Okay, Daisy, I hope that was clear. Alice, I answered. Okay, any other questions? Where does Joe have a question? I don't see it. Gilise? Why must it be 10 or more? So, um, 10 is like a wholeness. We have 10 powers of the soul, 10 divine attributes of God. So 10 is concept of completion. So that's the concept of 10. So it's complete in the sense of creating a reflection of the entirety of the Jewish people. So 10 is that reflection. Okay. Okay, Joe, if you can ask your question. Samuel, you have a question, but I don't see the question. Please. Oh, I thought a minion was 3 or more men. No. A minion is 10. The concept of 3 is for a mezumin. If you break bread together, then you have a mezumin for 3 people, but not for a min. That's called a mezumin. Okay. I hope that was clear. And Joe, I don't see your question. Oh, there it is. Now I see it. Julie, okay. If the Shekhinah is the feminine aspect of God, can you elaborate on that, please? There's a lot to elaborate, but just briefly. And this is really a real important point. And the way the world is going is really not so healthy. Pushing the envelope that, there's really no distinction between male and female. It's all made up. And therefore I could choose what I want to be, what my identity is. It's not that way. You can't choose. If in the divine order of things, there's a male and there's a female aspect of the divine. Male is the transmitter, the giver. The female is the recipient. Is the recipient. Not that one is greater or one is lesser, but there is the fusion of those two. And that's really important. It's crucial to have that notion. If it is in the divine that way, everything in this world is therefore reflected that way. And ultimately, this is the idea of when we learn Torah, we're united with, or we create a union in the divine. We connect with God. But what we're also doing at the same time, connecting to God in a way that they create a divine union through our Torah study right now. That just like in the physical world, male and female union begets, or has a potential to beget new life, has a potential to beget new life. So here when we study Torah, or for that matter, doing a mitzvah, we are literally begetting new life. Because we're creating a divine union. What does that mean? It means new light in our lives, which means new opportunity, new consequences of what we engage in when we do the mitzvah. That's why doing the mitzvah can change the world, can change you. That's why when, people would write into the Rebbe or ask for a bracha, the Rebbe would say, put on tefillin, check your mezuzahs, or, kosher, or whatever. What's that got to do with my physical ailment? It's because what you're doing is creating new light through the union of the mitzvah that you're engaged in, that now can bring new healing to you as an individual. That's beyond nature. Because within nature, it wouldn't happen necessarily. But we can rise beyond, and that's what the mitzvah does. That's what the Torah study does. So because it's creating that union, so there's a male and the female aspect. And that's why it's so important to um, regard the uniqueness of male and female in this world, not to confuse them. So much so that Torah tells us a man can't dress like a woman can't dress like a man. We need to regard the relationships that there are in this world are a relationship that are of intimacy between male and female, and of course by Jewish law, meaning husband and wife, and so on and so forth. There's a lot that we can discuss, but I'm going to leave it at that for now. And that we conclude